This is Roadrunner, the game. So this was produced in 1968 by Milton Bradley, which would have been right at the height of the Roadrunner's popularity. And if you don't believe me, Plymouth made a muscle car named after him. It doesn't get much bigger than that. And at this time, Roadrunner had his own dedicated TV show. It ran from 66 to 68. So this right here was a big product for the Roadrunner. And I gotta say, they didn't disappoint. The art is amazing. I would have bought this even if the gameplay sucked, just for the art, but happily the gameplay is a pleasant little treat. So let's dive right into this, starting with the game box, which again, what an eye catcher. So we've got Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote right up front, but we also have Sylvester and Tweety guest starring in this adventure. Now this is a classic Milton Bradley long box. It features their iconic silver stripe along the side that shows what age the game is intended for. However, in a bit of a departure from Milton Bradley's style, I noticed that there's actually an objective blurb on the far corner of the box. I usually see the objective listed in the actual silver stripe itself, but maybe that had something to do with how the art was put together on this. It might just look more balanced that way. Not sure, but it doesn't detract too much from the overall beautiful aesthetic of this game box. Now the back of the box is blank. It's a lift-off top box, and on the underside of the lid, they have printed the rules of the game, which if you've watched my show before, you know, this pleases the couch. I'm a big fan of games that print their rules right on the box or on an insert as opposed to a separate piece of paper or booklet. It's just good for longevity. Now, when we actually look at the inside of the box here, we have this lovely cardboard space saver with, again, beautiful hand-drawn art of Wile E. Coyote, the Roadrunner, and Tweety Bird. We also see the game spinner, and you'll notice there's a little dotted line around the outside periphery of that spinner. Now, it's not actually perforated, but I would be led to believe that a lot of people might be inclined to cut that spinner out, which would ruin this cardboard insert. But I'm really glad that this example of the game has the insert included undamaged. So I think we're really fortunate to see that today. Now there is a little cardboard space saver on the far side of the inside of the game box. That allows you to tuck these player pieces securely along the edge, and it has a little recess here for the game cards. Now when we move over to the game itself, this board is beautifully drawn. I love the art on this board. It's so bright and eye-catching. You have this sort of yellowish orange sienna for the desert atmosphere here. The characters all along the bottom on that nice tableau by the titling Roadrunner. Now this board folds in half and it has taped edges. It's obviously stood the test of time, and the game box has suffered some moisture damage, and I'm pleased to say that the board shows no evidence that it took any damage. So that was really nice. You'll notice that we have Lookout Mountain in the center with a series of dirt roads extending from it, and then a big paved road loop around the outside periphery. So the Roadrunner is actually a non-player character who will be navigating along the outside periphery of the paved road, and players taking control of either Sylvester or Wile E. Coyote will start at Lookout Mountain and attempt to run out onto these dirt roads and tag Roadrunner for an opportunity to draw one of these cards. And these cards are little character cards. You see them lined up right here. You have Wile E. Coyote, Roadrunner, Sylvester, and Tweety. The first player to collect one of each of those character cards wins the game. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. There are 6 of each of those player cards printed. They're shuffled together in one big deck and dealt out into stacks of 4, and there are 6 stacks all the way around the board. In order to get a chance to draw from that stack, a player will have to time their movements just right to land on one of these spaces on the dirt road that has a black dot on it, so the one on the very end, at the same time as the Roadrunner and Tweety land on a space on the road that has a black dot as well. So you'll see where the decks of cards are, there are these little zones of 3 spots where the Roadrunner and Tweety can get tagged, and 1 spot where Wile E. Coyote and Sylvester can wait to try to catch them. So if a player manages to occupy that spot at the same time that Roadrunner and Tweety occupy a tag zone spot, they get to draw a player card. And when they do, they'll put it face up in front of them so other players can see which character they got and how many they have total. However, let's say I've already collected a few and I draw a character card that I already have. Well, I will want to keep that secret from the other players and just shuffle that right back into that stack. That way they don't know if one that they need is sitting there waiting for them, and they'll have to guess based on the ones that I have showing in front of me, which contributes to the overall strategic level of play in this game. So there are two areas where strategy overcomes luck. One, trying to guess ahead of time where the Roadrunner is going to be and accurately predict where to navigate your player piece. And two, keeping track of each other player's character card collection to know which deck is most likely to hold a character card that you need to draw. Now, the random chance here is this spinner. You'll notice there are two tracks. The outer track on the spinner is double the value of the inner track. So that outer track tells us how many spaces to move the Roadrunner. The Roadrunner always moves first, then the player, and this helps with the order of operation of drawing. So let's hypothetically say that I have a player piece already waiting on the Roadrunner, and another player spins and navigates the Roadrunner to a tag zone. I get to draw a card even on that other player's turn because I was there at the right time. And since I was there first, even if that other player navigates on their turn to that space, I still get to draw my card before they do. So they've got the rule set pretty well defined as far as order of drawing and how the tagging system works. I was actually surprised at both how simple this game is and how in-depth. It's kind of weird because it's not super deep, but there's interesting strategy in making sure that you're paying attention to who has what character card and trying to get the rhythm of how fast the Roadrunner navigates the board, because they did excellent math when coming up with the values on this spinner. It becomes kind of a finesse game figuring out where you're going to run across the Roadrunner. You might really want to draw a card from one particular stack because you're convinced that it has the character card that you need, but it can be very difficult. I mean, just sitting there hoping that the Roadrunner hits. So you'll always be tempted, or at least inclined, to move to a different stack in the hopes of getting that character card that you want. And I mean, it can hurt you waiting on one if you think that it's a sure thing. It's kind of funny, but playing this game has just enough random chance that even if you strategize and you're really going for broke, you're still not guaranteed to win. You can get a bunch of terrible spins. Like if you just get onesie twosie spins over and over and over again, it's hard to move across this board. But if you get the ones that are high value, like one that moves the Roadrunner 12 spaces and you 6, for instance, it's only 6 spaces. The Lookout Mountain counts as one, so it's only 6 spaces from one end to the other of the dirt roads. So as a player, I have the opportunity to just shoot across the board. So very seldom did I really feel like I was nailed down unless I had a series of bad spins, but it can happen. So I like actually the ratio of strategy to chance in this one. And you know, with board games, in my opinion, being a very social affair, I like to have a wide range of complexities and difficulties available to play. I'm not always playing with people who are ready to hop into Hero Quest or Thunder Road Vendetta and still be able to keep a nice vibe for the evening. Sometimes, even with a group of adults, it's fun to hop into a game aimed at a younger age range just for the fun factor and the simplicity. And this is a prime example of a fun little licensed nostalgic treat that's perfect to break out on an adult game night if you just want to chill and enjoy each other's company. So definitely going to be on my list of little guilty pleasures. I don't know how guilty I really feel about liking Looney Tunes, but you know, as an adult with a kid's game, you know, games are for everybody in all ages. In fact, what is your favorite game that might not be geared towards your age range, but you love it anyway? Comment below and let me know. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.